will also be available.
Question number 9, Jacinda Ardern.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Social Development. What proportion of the 87,000 young people not in employment, training or education will be assisted by her youth services package?
The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday's announcement targets around 14,000 16 and 17-year-old NEETs, around 3,000 16 to 18-year-olds on benefit. These are targeted those who are most at risk. Evidence tells us the earlier we intervene, the better outcomes we will get. In addition to this, we spend on young people 18 years and over about $40 million a year through work and income on employment and training focused assistance, $1.2 billion through TEC for tertiary and workplace training, and $43 million for industry training. This package is unapologetic in targeting support to those young people who need it most.
Jacinda Ardern.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order, Jacinda.
I hate to be picky, but I did put on notice this question in order for the Minister to express as a proportion.
Order. I'm dealing with the noise that erupted in the House there. A point of order was called, and members are not at liberty to make that kind of noise when a point of order is called. I did hear the point of order the member was raising, and I think I accept what she's saying. The question did ask what proportion, and instead of giving a proportion, the Minister gave exactly the figures. 17 over 87 is not beyond the member's wit. I don't think we need to get too picky. Jacinda Ardern.
16%. Supplementary to the Minister, why is she cutting the number of young people eligible for assistance into work, training or education through her youth services by up to half in some cases, but spending more money on those services?
The Honourable Paula Bennett.
That's a good question, Mr. Speaker, and the answer is because, quite frankly, if you scattergun the money across and give a lot just a little, then you won't get the kind of results that one needs for these young people. So we are targeting it to those that are most at risk, and those are the 16 and 17-year-olds that are currently completely disengaged, that have actually fallen out of education, that are currently lost. Some of them will need a light touch, but many of them will actually need far more intensive support. And we are going to wrap that support around them and hopefully stop that track that they're on onto long-term welfare receipt.
Jacinda Ardern.
Mr. Speaker, how will an 18-year-old who didn't do well in school have any chance of getting back into training or education when they no longer have access to foundation classes, and aren't they at risk too?
The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Mr. Speaker, that is simply not true that 18-year-olds will not have access to foundation classes. They will. We are still spending more than $40 million a year on that 18 and plus age group that can get employment assistance. There are still places for them in tertiary institutions, and they will be given support to get into them. But we will be focusing on those 16 and 17-year-olds that are currently completely disengaged, and they are on a fast track to long-term welfare receipt, and we can do better by them.
Jacinda Ardern.
Supplementary to the Minister. Will successful services like the Youth Transition Service, championed by the Chair of the Mayor's Task Force for Jobs, Dale Williams, be eligible for funding under this model, or will it close, as the Mayor contends?
The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Mr. Speaker, yes, he will be eligible if he's put an application in.
Jacinda Ardern.
Supplementary to the Minister. Has she spoken to those working on the front line of youth transition services who say that 70% of the clientele they work with move into work at 16 and 17 and in need of their services once they hit 18?
The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Mr. Speaker, I spend a lot of time talking to frontline services, and particularly those with the YTS. For example, the ones in my own patch actually tell me that more than 70% of the young people that are going through there are 16 and 17 years old, and that's actually the reality for it, the New Lynn one, so you can go and visit them if you like. So the reality is actually it's those 16 and 17-year-olds that need the most help. Some of it needs to be pretty intensive, and we're putting the money in to back them.
Question number 10, Holly Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Tertiary Education.